So the Steelseries Arctis Nova 7s are a very impressive gaming headset that sound great, they have amazing build quality, and personally I really like their super relaxed design, because if you want to use this headset as a normal pair of headphones, you can do that because they're not going to stick out like most other gaming headsets out there. But today, we're going to see how the Steelseries Arctis Nova 7s compare to the Razer Kaira Pros, another gaming headset that I have always really liked. Now first, we're going to have to talk about versions and compatibility. With the Nova 7s, there are 3 versions of this headset. There's the PC and PlayStation versions, which will both allow you to connect to a PC, PlayStation, Switch, or phone. And then there's the Xbox version, which will allow you to connect to an Xbox, PlayStation, PC, Switch, and phone. So for maximum compatibility, I do recommend that you go with the Xbox version of this headset. But then there's the Kaira Pro. The Xbox version of the Kaira Pro will allow you to use this headset with an Xbox, and you can connect to your phone via Bluetooth. And the PlayStation version of this headset will allow you to use this headset with a PlayStation, PC, Switch, or phone. So with Razer's headset, you do have to choose the version that works best for you. And also, the PlayStation version of this headset does have some minor differences between the Xbox version. But this video should still be able to help you decide which headset is best for you. But now let's talk about the headsets themselves. Build quality wise, these headsets are fairly different from one another. The Novas are using noticeably harder plastics, their arms glide from their headband, we've got this huge steel headband, and we've got a suspension style headband. Whereas with the Kairas, these headsets have your traditionally padded headbands, they're using a lot more plastics, and the plastics on these headsets doesn't feel as hard as the plastics used on the Nova. Overall, both of these headsets have good build quality, and I think they will be able to stand up to some rage-induced abuse if you're gaming with them. But I do feel the Nova 7s are more durable. So if you're someone that can really lose their head in a very tense game, then investment-wise, the Nova 7s are the way to go. But when it comes to fit, I do feel the Kairas are the overall winners here. Regarding clamping force, both of these headsets are big head approved, but the Kairas do have a slightly looser fit to them, making them more comfortable. Now, with all of these headsets, they are a little on the heavier side if you were to compare them with mainstream premium ANC headphones, which typically weigh in between 250 to 280 grams. Now, the Nova 7s are the lightest here, weighing in at 325 grams. The Xbox Kaira Pros weigh in at 330 grams, a 5 gram difference here isn't much, but the PlayStation version weighs in at 365 grams. And this is because the PlayStation version of this headset has the additional haptics which are going to rattle your head when the bass really gets going. Overall, with all of these headsets, you don't really forget that you're wearing them with, like, let's say, the Arctis ones, which have been my favorite headsets for a while now. But nonetheless, all of these headsets do a really good job of evenly distributing their weight throughout your head, because Razer's headsets have a lot of padding underneath their headband, and then there's the suspension headband on the Nova 7s, so hotspots on either of these are never an issue. But I feel that the main fit difference between these headsets is going to come down to their ear cups and ear pads. Firstly, I do feel that Razer's headsets rest more comfortably on your head because their ear cups put an even amount of pressure around your ears. Whereas with the Novas, I can't help but feel that they apply a little more pressure on the top of your ear than on the bottom, which can feel a little weird at first, but eventually you don't notice it. But definitely, there are their ear pads. Now, the ear pads on the Novas are fairly spacious, and they should have no problem fitting most ear types. However, Razer's ear pads are just a little more spacious, so if you have larger ears or ears that stick out a lot, you might want to go with the Razers over the Novas, but the Novas will definitely still get the job done. Now, all versions of the Nova 7 headset come included with fabric ear pads, and these fabric ear pads are super breathable, so even if you're playing in the summer, you're not going to get sweaty ear cups. Now, the Xbox version of the Kaira Pros also come included with fabric ear pads, meaning that they're super breathable. But the PlayStation version of the Kaira headset doesn't come included with fabric earpads. Their earpads have a felt surface that rests on your skin, and there's leatherette on the sides. So with these, they don't stay as cool for as long. Overall, I feel the Xbox version of the Kaira Pros are the most comfortable headset here, closely followed by all of the versions of the Nova 7s because they have those fabric earpads. And finally, I feel the PlayStation version of the Kaira Pros are the least comfortable because of their additional weight and less breathable earpads. But don't get me wrong, the PlayStation Kaira Pros are still comfortable and you can game with them for hours on end, but they're just not as comfortable as these other headsets. But looks-wise, the Nova 7s are my preferred headset here because of their really understated design, and when you put their microphone away, it just completely disappears. So with this headset, if you use them as a normal pair of headphones, most people aren't even going to know that they're a gaming headset. Whereas with both of Razer's headsets, these are a little more bulky, and also with their microphones, sure, you can remove them, but this just isn't as sleek of a solution when compared to the Nova 7's microphone. But now let's talk about tech specs. Regarding battery life, the Nova 7s have an advertised battery life of 38 hours. However, this advertised battery life of 38 hours is with this headset only being connected to your console. If you were to have this headset connected to both your console and phone via Bluetooth at the same time, then you're going to have an advertised battery life of 26 hours, which is still pretty good. Whereas with the PlayStation version of the Kaira Pros, this headset has a maximum advertised battery life of 50 hours. However, this advertised battery life of 50 hours is with the RGB on this headset turned off, and that's with the haptic engine on this headset turned off as well. However, if you were to use this headset with the RGB turned on and with the haptic engine turned on, then this headset is going to be good for 20 hours of playtime, which is still decent. And with the Xbox version of this headset, if you were to use it with its RGB turned off, then it's going to have an advertised battery life of 20 hours. But if you were to use this headset with the RGB turned on, then it's going to have an advertised battery life of 15 hours, which I do feel is a little weak. So for Xbox, the Nova 7s have the best battery life here, but for PlayStation, the Kaira Pros can outlast the Nova 7s depending on how you use them. But if you were to average everything and real-world use, I do feel that the Nova 7s have the best overall battery life here. But now let's talk about connectivity, because all of these headsets are very different from one another. Now, like I mentioned at the top of this video, for maximum compatibility, I do recommend that you get the Xbox version of the Nova 7s, because you're going to be able to use them with an Xbox, PlayStation, PC, Switch, and or phone. They come included with a USB-C transmitter, and all you have to do is plug them into your console. And if you have multiple consoles, then all you have to do is just unplug the transmitter, plug it into your other console, and you're good to go. Plus, with the Nova 7s, they can be connected to your phone via Bluetooth, but more importantly, you can have your game's audio and your phone's audio playing at the same time. So if you're one of those monsters that listens to music while you game, then the Nova 7s can help you out here. Whereas with the Kaira Pros, these headsets are a little different. Now, the PlayStation version of this headset does come included with a USB-C transmitter, and you can use this transmitter with either your PlayStation, PC, or Switch. Whereas with the Xbox version of this headset, there is no transmitter. You just connect to your Xbox like if it were a normal Xbox controller. So the Xbox version of the Kaira Pros does have rather limited connectivity. Now, both of these Kaira Pros can also be connected to your phone via Bluetooth, and both of these headsets can also have your console's audio and your phone's audio playing at the same time. But overall, I am gonna have to say that the Nova 7s have the best connectivity here, especially if you get the Xbox version of this headset, because you're going to be able to use them with both an Xbox and PlayStation. But also, the Nova 7s have the added benefit of having a 3.5mm audio jack. So you can always use this headset with a wired connection with your controller, and you can always use them passively just in case this headset were to ever die on you in the middle of the game. And this is something that the Kaira Pros can't do because they don't have 3.5mm audio jacks. But now let's talk about sound. The Nova 7s have noticeably better instrument separation than both of Razer's headsets. So this headset sounds more open, and they do a better job of immersing you in your game. Whereas with Razer's headsets, they have more physicality in their bass. So you're going to be able to much better feel what's happening in your game. With the Razers, I feel that they're more fun, whereas with the Nova 7s, I do feel that they're more immersive. But the really important thing here is that with the PlayStation version of the Kaira Pros, these have haptics in them. So if you want, they can literally rattle your head when the bass gets going. Now, this feature can be a lot of fun if you're using them to play a campaign, but personally, I would not use this feature if you're playing competitively online because it can be rather distracting, and I do feel that it can make you lose your cool if you're in the middle of a 1v1 or 1v2. And also keep in mind, if you use the haptic engine in this headset, that is going to take its toll on the battery life as well. But more importantly, with all of these headsets, you can adjust your EQ. Now personally, the Xbox version of the Kaira Pros are my favorite because you can adjust their EQ, among many other things, directly from your Xbox. Whereas with the PlayStation version of this headset, you don't have this type of integration with your console. But regardless, there's also the Razer mobile app, so you can adjust the EQ of these headsets directly from your phone. Whereas with the Nova 7s, if you want to adjust their EQ, and if you're someone that's going to play an FPS with them, you're definitely going to want to lower the highs on this headset because they do have a brighter EQ. You're going to have to connect this headset to your computer, and you're going to have to download the Steelseries GG app. Now, this isn't an issue if you're a PC gamer, but if you're mainly a console gamer like I am, then having to connect this headset to your PC to change the EQ can be a hassle. And unfortunately, there is no app for your phone. So sound quality wise, I am gonna have to go with the Nova 7s because of their improved instrument separation, making them sound more open. But the Razers are more fun, especially the PlayStation version. But if you're primarily a console gamer like I am, then I do prefer to use the Razers because if you're going to be switching between games on a regular basis, they make it much easier to switch between different EQs, and they also make it much easier to adjust your EQ on the fly. But finally, here's the microphone test. Now, in the interest of time, both the PlayStation version and Xbox version sound and perform the same. Now, overall, this microphone does sound pretty good, but this microphone does sound a little warmer. Whereas with the Nova 7s, I do feel that this microphone has better clarity to it, and it also has a much brighter sound signature to it. But personally, I do like having a bright sound signature for my voice, because I feel that it's going to help your voice cut through your game's audio. But now we have a low frequency sound running in the background to simulate either having a fan running in the background or having your AC turned on. Now my voice continues to sound good, but you can still hear some noise pollution in the background. And with the Kaira Pros, you can also hear some noise pollution in the background. So if you're a console gamer, both of these headsets have good sounding microphones on them. However, you do want to be mindful of any noise pollution that you might have in the background. But personally, I do prefer the microphone on the Nova 7s over the microphone found on the Razers, specifically because I do like the brighter sound signature of the Nova 7s. But with all that being said, I think that choosing between the Steelseries Arctis Nova 7 and Razer Kaira Pro is a hard decision, because they do have their pros and cons. Now, if you're someone with multiple consoles, then you'll definitely want to go with the Xbox version of the Nova 7, because you'll be able to use them with your Xbox, PlayStation, PC, Switch, or phone. And the Nova 7s have a really good battery life, and personally, I really like their super relaxed design, because if you want to use them out in public, you're not going to stick out like a sore thumb. But personally, I still find myself gravitating towards the Kaira Pros because I really prefer their better fit. Their ear cups rest more naturally on your head, and their ear pads are more spacious. And I also really like the direct integration with your Xbox with the Xbox version of this headset. And I also like the mobile app on both versions of this headset. And from a sound quality standpoint, I do prefer having more physicality in their bass. And with the PlayStation version of this headset, you've got the haptic feedback, which is something the Nova 7s just can't compare with. But where Razer's headsets do fall short for me is the battery life. If you made it this far, I guess you enjoyed the video, so hit the like button and get subscribed. If you want to pick any of the products up, they'll be linked down below. And if you want to further support the channel, check out the merch. I made some shirts and hoodies that look and feel great. And you know I can be very particular, so I'll only slap my name on something if I'm really proud of it.